welcome back, loyal viewers, to another exciting episode of Sports Central with your host, Andrew Mackey. We're going to kickstart this week with the Tecumseh Braves football team. They traveled up to South Decatur on Saturday and beat the Cougars 30-19. The Braves were led by Spencer Jones, wide receiver. He had 9 catches, 127 yards, and 3 touchdowns. It's one of his best games all year. The Braves also got a major contribution from their quarterback, Adam Grannon. He had 3 touchdown passes. Obviously, all of them were to Spencer Jones. But he also added a touchdown running the ball to help catapult the Tecumseh to the 30-19 win. It's a notable victory for the Braves. It's the first time they've won back-to-back games since 2009. And it's also the first team they've beaten that they didn't beat last year. They were 2-8 last year, and they'd beaten Wood, Memorial, and Uni Duggar. Those are the same 2 teams they beat earlier this year. So picking up this win against South Decatur is beating a new team for this batch of Braves. So it's a pretty meaningful win for them. It ups their record to 3-2. Coming into Friday, the Braves take on a pretty tough West Washington team at home at Braves Field at Linville Elementary School. West Washington, the record's only 2-3, but they've played some pretty tough teams. They've beaten Eastern 42-7, and they also beat Springs Valley, who Tecumseh plays 2 weeks from now. West Washington beat Springs Valley 38-6. Their losses came against Christian Academy from Kentucky 21-6. Perry Central beat them 27-6. And they also lost to 2A Paoli 26-15. So all 3 of their losses are pretty close. They could easily have won some of those games, it appears. So it should be a pretty exciting game at Braves Field on Friday. In other high school football action last weekend, the Castle Knights destroyed Central 62-21. Central had a lot of hype going into that game as a potentially dangerous opponent. And right from the very beginning, Castle just dismantled them. Quarterback Mitch Gillis threw for 410 yards and 8 touchdowns, but only 6 of them were to his own team. He threw 2 interceptions for touchdown, which accounted for 14 of Central's 21 points. So you take those away, and it's an even more lopsided win for Castle. The performance of the night definitely goes to wide receiver John Mark Anderson. He had 12 catches, 226 yards. Both of those are school records. And he also hauled in 4 touchdowns for the Knights. So that's a heck of a game for John Mark. Most wide receivers get those kind of numbers in 2 or 3 games, not 1. So great game for John Mark. Not to be outdone, though. On the other side of the field was wide receiver Cameron Paris, who also had 100 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns as well. And the cherry on top of the sundae, I guess, for the Knights was Andrew Parker, the defensive lineman. Got an interception late in the game and returned it 60 yards for a touchdown. So just, in all facets of the game, just a dominating performance for the Knights to pick up that 62-21 victory. They have another tough game coming up on Friday. They travel up Highway 41 to Evansville North's new high school to face the Huskies. North is 3-2, and like Central, they were going into last week with a lot of excitement around their program. They were 3-1. They were looking really tough. But then Mater Dei took apart North, beat them 45-7 last Saturday afternoon. Really kind of took the wind out of North's sails a little bit. But they are still a tough, dangerous team, and it's an important game for Castle because not only are they a conference opponent, they're also a sectional opponent. So Castle's likely going to have to beat North come tournament time. North is led by Blake Howell, their running back. He's the leading rusher in the SIAC. He's run for a lot of yards, but they also, quarterback Max Mooney, another running back Devontae Lane, Mike Johnson, Drew Waters. They have a lot of really good football players at North, so Castle can't take them lightly at all. And the third football team in Warwick County continues to struggle. The Boonville Pioneers lost their 4th game in a row after beating Washington to open the year. On Saturday, they traveled up to Indianapolis to face 2A Broad Ripple, and the Rockets ran all over them, beat them 38-14. That score is not a great indicator of how that game was. It was closer than that final margin. Boonville had cut the game to a 10-point deficit in the fourth quarter. It was 24-14, but Evan Hendrickson threw a late interception, and then Broad Ripple tacked on 2 late touchdowns, both, I think they were 72 yards and 58-yard scores, so big, long touchdowns late in the game to make it a little uglier than it was. Boonville's got a must-win game on Friday. They travel to Posey County to face Mount Vernon. That's a Big 8 conference foe. The Wildcats are 2-3 this year. They've beaten Washington and Tell City, and as I said earlier, Washington's the only win for Boonville. And the Wildcats have also lost to North Posey, Mount Carmel, and Vincennes Lincoln. Mount Carmel and Vincennes are also Big 8 opponents. So it appears to be a pretty even matchup for Boonville with Mount Vernon. And if the Pioneers can get it together, their final 4 games of the regular season are all winnable games against Mount Vernon, Princeton, South Spencer, and Mount Carmel. So if they start playing well and can string together 4 victories, they'll end the year 5-4, which will be a huge achievement after starting out 1-4. So hopefully the Pioneers can get back on track against Mount Vernon. And in other sports action, sports news, tomorrow night's a big night for Castle and Boonville. It is Pink for a Purpose night at Boonville High School. It's a volleyball game between Castle and the Boonville Lady Pioneers at Boonville. It's a match that raises a lot of money for the Susan G. Komen Foundation and Cancer Research through many different things, mainly t-shirt sales, like this one I'm wearing here. They cost $10. You can buy them at the Boonville main office or at any other Castle or Boonville volleyball event. But along with t-shirts, they also, at the match on Thursday, they'll have candy and auction items, gift baskets, a lot of stuff, and all those proceeds go to raise money for the Komen Foundation, so it's a great cause. So you should definitely go out there. JV match starts at 6, and then the varsity will follow, but in between they'll honor cancer survivors from both teams. So it's a really great event, but it's also going to be a really exciting volleyball match. Castle's 12-8 this year, Boonville's 9-10. But those records are a little skewed because just locally, back up a little bit, all 8 of Castle's losses have come at out-of-town tournaments, and 6 of Boonville losses have come at some of those same out-of-town tournaments. So locally, just against normal matches, from around the area, Castle's 11-0 and Boonville's 9-4. So they're two of the better teams around, and it's always a big rivalry when those 2 teams get together. So make sure you get out to the Boonville High School Stadium tomorrow night at 6 p.m. to watch some great volleyball and support a really great cause. And to wrap up this episode of Sports Central, we go to the girls' golf. On Saturday last week, Castle's Kayla Catter-Henry won sectional at Jasper for the 3rd time in 4 years, and her teammates also finished 2nd in the sectional to Jasper to advance to the regional, which is this Saturday at Eagle Valley in Evansville. So good luck to the Knights as they try to get back to the state championship tournament for the 2nd year in a row. So that wraps up this exciting episode of Sports Central. As always, I thank you guys for tuning in, and make sure you check it out next Wednesday afternoon. Thanks a lot.